Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session designed to help with the specific problem of fear of failure, and that quite often, by evaluating bigger consequences or detrimental consequences to a mistake, a setback, or failure, it can actually lead to less performance and less resourcefulness in the very context that you want to do well in. And there is a paradox sometimes that actually in many areas of life, when we need to be at our best, the very way that we think about it puts us in a worse situation. So this uses a metaphor of a planet where failure just doesn't exist. And by failure not existing in this particular reality, it enabled the client to consider what they would do and how they would feel differently. Effectively, it's about linking a low-pressure resource state with the pursuit of high-standard goals. And by taking out the expectation and the pressure of failure and what failure means, it actually led to a thought and a thinking process that they would take on more risks, that they would be more ambitious, and equally they would evaluate any setbacks not as failure, but as simple stepping stones to making even more progress than they had before. One of my favorite belief systems is that you either win or you learn. And why I think that's a really important belief system is that it encourages you to take more risk and do more things, because either you find out that you can do the very thing that you weren't sure if you can do, in which case that's a win, or you get the most valuable feedback possible from actually doing the thing and then realizing that there are certain other areas that you need to work on, either increase competency, increase understanding, maybe have a different strategic approach or whatever it might be. But in exploration, we would call that reconnaissance. We would say, well, you need to go out actually in the terrain and figure out what's going on. And why wouldn't it be any different in the pursuit of ambitious goals or maintaining high standards? Do the thing, and then you've got more information on how to do the thing even better than you did before. If you feel like you are struggling with being as successful as you want and you think that hypnosis may help, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule a free consultation call to explore working with me one-on-one, built entirely around your goals, your objectives, and your emotional states. For now, though, you might find that this session is actually quite helpful. So find a very comfortable, quiet place, ideally where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close, and as they close, notice where in your body there's any clues of tension, stress, or anxiety. Breathing in that calm feeling of resourcefulness. And as you exhale, just allow it, breath by breath, to start releasing any tension or anxiety in your body, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a strange planet somewhere else in the universe where the word failure doesn't exist. Just imagine, perhaps, a parallel universe to Earth, but in that reality, mistakes and failure are just seen as a natural learning process. No shame. No embarrassment, no humiliation, no grave consequences. Just a natural environment where people learn how to get better and better. And imagine being in that world and going to a place of deep tranquility and relaxation, maybe a lake or a beach. And I want you to attempt to do something there in that tranquil place that means you can't fail. And maybe it's something silly like flipping a coin and guessing heads, and then seeing its tails. Or perhaps balancing rocks on top of each other, and yet if they fall down, who cares? I want you to get a sense that in this reality, there's a feeling of liberation, of freedom, of relaxation, that you can attempt anything. And one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? And here in this exact replica of Earth, in a different part of the universe where failure doesn't exist, I wonder all the things that you would attempt if failure simply wasn't an option. As you breathe in and breathe out, feel a growing sense of excitement. Almost like being a kid in a sweet shop. All the opportunity. If you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt? And maybe as you breathe in and breathe out in that strange world where failure doesn't exist, you also start to think of, what is your own definition of failure back in your reality? Because for many people, to fail means to not get the singular result they want in any given time frame. Which means there can be consequences and shame and embarrassment and frustration, annoyance, and all these heavy emotions linked to an arbitrary definition that isn't even that useful. So as you breathe in and breathe out in this strange world where failure doesn't exist, you can attempt things and not get the result, but because failure doesn't exist, you just treat it as an infinite feedback loop until you get the outcome that you desire. Breathe in and breathe out, and in this strange world where failure doesn't exist, I want you to attempt some things that recently you gave yourself a hard time for failing at. But remember, in this world, failure doesn't exist. So perhaps imagine attempting something, it not going the way that you want, and just feeling a shrug of the shoulders And maybe the inner dialogue is something along the lines of, you've learned a lot from this, and it becomes easier next time. But also notice the very act of doing the thing. In a world where failure doesn't exist, paradoxically, there feels like there's less pressure. The stress is lower. And ironically, you tend to do better in the very environments where the consequences are lower. And depending on how you think about things, isn't it true that at a cosmic level, when you zoom out and look at the entire universe, whether or not someone gets the result that they want on any particular day is completely inconsequential. And if your unconscious is willing to maintain high standards, but dilute the pressure you've been putting on these arbitrary moments in your life to perhaps just 1% of what they were before. Maybe your unconscious mind feels that you could do these things even better, to maintain high standards without needing the stress and pressure that tends to follow. And if your unconscious is happy to take all the pressure away, let me know by nodding your head. So explore this world where failure doesn't exist. Have fun in this world. And in this world, as you raise your standards, remember that the pressure you feel is simply a reflection of your thoughts, not a reality. That here in this world, you can embrace every opportunity, knowing that in every outcome lies a lesson waiting to be learned. That each and every time you aim high and fall short, you can celebrate the courage it took to take aim in the first place. That every risk that you take, even if it doesn't lead to your preferred outcome, enriches your journey with invaluable experience. In a world with no failure, when things don't go as planned, remind yourself that you either win or you learn. There's no in between. Trust that every stumble is a step forward in your journey of progress. And know that true failure only exists if you decide to stop trying. So maintain your high standards, understanding that they are markers of aspiration, not burdens of expectation. And when things don't go to plan, you can wear those experiences proudly, for they are badges of bravery and resilience. And I wonder what would happen if you recognize that each mistake you make carves the path towards your ultimate success. And sometimes the outcome involves other people. So you can cherish every no or not yet you receive, a signpost towards a better destination. That life, fundamentally, is not a collection of accomplishments, but the journey itself. So feel that you are able to celebrate the process. In it lies the joy of growth and the essence of discovery. And remember, the weight of your expectations will only be as heavy as you allow it to be. So in advance of things that involve consequences, decide in advance that whatever the consequences are, you can handle them in advance. Every time you meet a challenge, you can see it as an invitation to grow stronger and wiser. Because these mistakes are not setbacks. They are stepping stones to success. And I want you to think perhaps of those times in your life where things didn't go to plan and you were able to activate a calm, reflective mind. And if your unconscious is happy to harness the power of that calm, reflective mind into different areas of your life, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. Because that calm, reflective mind can take a moment where things don't go to plan as a learning opportunity, rather than a chain of events that could lead to a catastrophic meltdown. So let's empower that calm, reflective mind to look for opportunities to extract the value when things don't go to plan. To evaluate that with high standards, you're not seeking perfection, just a journey of continuous improvement. That when a door closes, trust that it's because there's a better one waiting to be opened. Because the true value of a risk isn't in its outcome, but in the wisdom and strength gained from taking it. Cowards don't fail because they don't attempt anything, which itself is the ultimate failure. So as you strive for the best, know that every outcome, be it ideal or not, enriches your unique experience of life. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but in every misstep, there lies a hidden opportunity waiting to be uncovered. Because high standards are your compass, not your anchor. They guide you without holding you back. And as you embrace the notion that pressure is just a mental construct, and that you yourself have the power to redefine it, that you can unleash your inner Viking, where whatever happens, it leads to a good place. The journey with its highs and lows, successes and setbacks, is where the true magic happens. So continue to aim high, and remember that it's the courage to continue that counts, not the fear of falling short. So enjoy being on this planet where failure doesn't exist. Feel the freedom, the lack of pressure, the lack of stress, to really go all in and really attempt all these things that you've been hesitant to attempt before. And notice that you can pursue those goals and those passions with even more enthusiasm, even more vigor than ever before, because you are immune from the fear of failure. And then realize that this isn't another planet somewhere else in the universe. This is your own planet, your own home. That failure itself is just an idea. And as you redefine what that idea is, you are still free to pursue everything that you would ever want to maintain those high standards, to treat everything as the ability to either win or learn. If your unconscious is willing to integrate these ideas, these ways of thinking, to take the pressure off and increase your ability to make the most of your life, let me know by nodding your head. Feel like you're returning to the present, taking all these resources with you and willing to hold yourself to the same standards that you would expect from other people. That you can have high standards, but the failure doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you've got more information to do even better on your next attempt. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, returning to the present as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling resourceful, motivated, feeling that you've let go a lot of the burden of expectation of the past and opened a doorway to a feeling of resourceful, relentless focus of all these things that you truly want in your life. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.